Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 71 of the VoiceOFpunk. I'm your host, the VoiceOFpunk. So, I just finished watching Sons of Anarchy, episode 12 of the last season, entitled Red Rose. And I have to tell you, this episode was... I'd say this episode was very shocking. Yeah, this episode was... It was good. I'm not gonna lie. This episode was really good. Very shocking, very depressing, and I'm kind of in a... After watching this episode, I'm kind of in a bit of a depressed mood. But, yeah, what made this episode shocking was the deaths that occurred in this episode, because two of these deaths I saw coming. Two of them. And one death I didn't. And it really made me gasp. But the other two deaths I saw coming, which you guys seen the episode, you guys know what I'm talking about. But the two deaths I saw coming, I was still kind of shocked by them because I didn't expect their deaths to be in this episode, which I will get into. Basically, what this episode is all about is Jack's trying to figure out what he's going to do with his mom. Because, the truth is out, Gemma has killed Tara, and everyone knows about it, and Jax is just trying to figure out what to do. And not only that, it's kind of a subplot, and I guess is setting up the last episode, which is coming out next week. The other president's coming in and telling, Jax confesses that he murdered it, that he lied about Jerry being the rat, and he did murder him, and there's going to be this whole mayhem vote that's going to happen next week. And, yeah, it's just, wow. It's just kind of hard to believe and accept that this show is really ending. I'm sure I sound like a broken record when I say that, but it is really hard to believe, and you just couldn't help but feel sad just watching this episode. Even though this episode is not the last one, it kind of felt like a final episode in a way. But that's probably not what you guys really want me to talk about. I bet you guys want me to talk about the deaths that occur in this episode. So, the first person who dies in this episode is Juice. Juice finally kicks the bucket, and I found his death scene to be actually very satisfying. Not really. I'm not gonna say it wasn't in character with Juice. Like it was, but I'm not really saying that's why it was satisfying. To me, it was satisfying that with Juice dying. It was satisfying in the same way when Otto died. You just kind of felt happy for them. You're like, you know what? They had to go. They've been through so much shit that the only way that you can really feel good for them is if they died, because then they'll be free. And Juice, he dies in a way sacrificing himself for the club, even though they don't know about it. He's told by the Chinese that we know you killed Henry Lin. We know the Sons told you to do it, but at the same time, we know the Sons are helping you, or making you work with Tully. And But we are not going to kill you. We want you to kill Tully, which I actually thought Juice was going to go for, because I thought, to me at this point, I thought Juice was going to be like, you know what, fuck the Suns, this is my life, and I'm going to make my decision now. My decision, motherfucker. But no, Juice and scene. I thought, okay, before I go on, where the Chinese, is that we want you to kill Tully. I thought that was good enough. But then no, they needed to have the Chinese gang rape Juice, which I felt was a little just a twist of the knife, and Juice just saying, have at it, I don't give a shit. It's just, you just felt so sad. And just, I actually really felt that whole scene was pointless, with the gang rape. I thought that whole scene was pointless. Like, they don't really they just kind of show the start of it. But it was just, I don't think you really needed to show that. You could have implied it, be fine. But I just don't think you really needed, I don't think the show really needed to have that out in the open. Seeing him being raped by Tully a few episodes ago, I think that was good enough. Like, I think that was enough. But no, you needed to have him be raped by the gang, like the entire Chinese gang. Which really, I thought that would have, I thought it would be very satisfying if Juice killed the entire Chinese gang. His sure maybe would cause a lot more problems for Sam Crow, but actually I don't think it would. If I think about it, I think if Juice really killed the entire Chinese gang inside, because at the end of the episode, Tyler, who finally grows a pair, says, if you got Jax, if you want me to help you now, I want you to take out the rest of the Chinese gang so the Niners can move on their turf. And so, and that happens. So if Juice actually took it upon himself to kill the rest of the Chinese gang, I think that would actually, it would benefit the club, but no. And in a surprise turn of events, he goes up to Tully during lunch hour and he says, the Chinese wants me to kill you. But but he's like, and if you die, or not, I think he says, if I don't kill you, the Chinese are going to kill me. And then Juice says, if the Chinese kill me, it's going to affect your relationship with Sam Crow. So you kill me. So it won't cause any more problems. And he says this line that, he hands Tully the shiv, and he says, just let me finish my pie. And Tully does. That was his last whip. Like, Juice could have asked for anything, and he just says, let me finish my pie. And then after Juice finishes his pie, gives a nod to Tully. Tully nods to his men. His men, cause a riot. They start beating up on the gang, like on the Chinese gang. Then Juice calmly stands up, stares ahead. Tully comes up behind him, grabs him like this, and puts his arm around his neck. And I love this line, like, even though it's very, very sick and twisted, I still like it. It was almost like he's kind of paying Juice a compliment in a way, where he was like, Tully says the line before he kills Juice is, "You went out good, sweetheart," and then stabs Juice in the neck a couple times. Juice doesn't make a sound, just still emotionless, grabs his throat, falls down, and the last time we see him, before we see him being covered up, laying in the pool of blood. I love this scene. because all you don't hear the riot going on. All you hear is the jail bell. Just as the camera pans up and Juice is laying there in a pool of his own blood. And it was very tragic and heartbreaking, but I love that scene. And I was very surprised that they killed Juice in this episode. I thought, I would have saw Juice living or dying, and of course he died, but I would have saw either one, and I would have believed either one. And I'm just surprised they killed him in this episode. And then, the second death that happened, which shocked me to no end, and actually made me mad, was Unser. Mostly because Unser is one of my favorite characters of the show. I think I said that before. And his death, when I was watching this episode, when his death happened, I thought it was completely unnecessary and out of character. But then I think that it was just my own feelings coming in, and then I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I hate this, but alright, this is a time for Unser to die. But basically what happens is they all find out that Gemma has went to her dad's place. And, Unser is like, well, shit. Nero goes up to Unser saying, we need, don't let Jax kill her. And you think Nero is thinking that, he wants Gemma to live because he still loves her. But you find out that Nero doesn't want Gemma to die because he doesn't want Jax to kill her because he wants to save Jax. So, he sends Unser, and Unser gets over there, and it all basically boils down to Unser trying to arrest Gemma. And then, Jax comes in, and both Jax and Unser have their guns pointed at each other. And then you can tell Jax is very sad. And Unser says, look what's happening, look what we have become, And he says, his last line is, this is all I have left. Unser says that. And that's when Jax just nods, pulls his gun out, shoots Unser in the chest, killing him instantly. I was so shocked at that. I was like, what the I'm not even kidding. When I saw him shoot Unser in the chest, I literally jumped back. I was like, no. I was mad. I was shocked and mad, appalled, because of Gemma's reaction, where Gemma was just like, fuck it. And that kind of made me hate Gemma anymore. Just, fuck the bitch. But I guess that kind of recalls an earlier scene that Jax and Unser have with each other, where Jax tells Unser it was Gemma who killed Tara, and Unser, saying he wanted to protect Tara, and that's his job. No, Unser's job throughout the show has always been the protector of the club kind of thing. And I love the scene where Unser, after he finds out, he goes into his truck and he just bawls, he starts crying, and it's not like he starts sobbing, but he makes the little sounds and he's trying to stay calm. And I love that scene because you can see how heartbroken Unser is. And in this scene where he dies, some people saying that it was almost like a mercy killing in a way on Jack's part when he kills Unser. And in a way, I guess you can see it like that, but it's hard for me to accept that Unser is dead. Because, like I said, he's one of my favorite characters. And then now the next part, which I knew it was coming, but I was still surprised it happened in this episode, and I'm really happy about, but I'm just surprised and a little disappointed it happened in this episode, but the death of Gemma. Yes, Gemma finally dies, and I'm not gonna lie, I cheered. I was like, fuck yeah! But at the same time, it made me kind of worry about the next episode, what the last episode is going to be about. It kind of made me worry, like, what the last episode is going to be about, because, okay, well, I'll get to that in a bit, but, basically, her and Jax have a very, Katie Seagal and Charlie Hunnam had a very great final scene together, and, talking about, Gemma saying you look just like a grandfather, and, when she mentions Tara, that's when Jax is like, don't apologize, like, don't say anything, don't say you're sorry, fuck you. Like, he doesn't say all that, but he just kind of says don't. But in his face, you can see it, right? And then, Gemma says, well, just let me outside. I know you're going to kill me. I want to die in the garden. Because it's in a wonderful earlier scene between Gemma and her dad, who has, what was it? Oh, her dad, who has Alzheimer's. Wonderful scene between those two. Recalls that the only memory that her dad has of Gemma now is Gemma as a little girl playing in the garden. So that's where she wants to die now. And I kind of like the fact that they made Gemma kind of accept the fact that she's going to die, that she's paying for everything that she's done. I just kind of wish there was a bit of more of a confrontation. But the way this plays out is still fine. It's still really good, like fantastic scene. But they're in the garden. She has her back turned. Like, for all this time, she has her back turned towards Jax. Jax holds the gun up, and he's crying. And you can see the tears coming down his face, and he lowers his gun. So he's not going to do it. He's like, I can't do this. You're my mother. I can't do this. And then she says, it's okay. She pretty much just says, I'm ready. Do it. Like, I love you, Jackson. You're my baby boy. This has to happen. I love you. I'm ready. And then when she says, I'm ready, and it's okay, Jack puts his gun back up, boom, shoots Gemma right through the head, and Gemma just falls. It just falls out of frame. Wonderfully shot, and wonderfully staged. Like, just a shot of Gemma looking into the camera with Jax pointing the gun at her head in the background. Such a beautiful shot. I thought it was gorgeous, that shot. And it was just that whole thing, though. I just wish that happened in the last episode, and I wish it was more of a confrontation. Like, despite it being, perfectly, besides it being like a gorgeous setup and just a gorgeous shot altogether, I just thought that this should have happened in the last episode, like in the last episode coming up. In the final episode, I just feel that the whole thing between Gemma and Jax was basically what everyone was looking forward to this season. You know what I mean? Which, personally, that was kind of what I was looking for this whole season, was the confrontation between Gemma and Jax. And the fact that this happens in the second last episode kind of makes me worry about the final episode, and it just kind of makes me think about like the final episode is not going to have the confrontation between Gemma and Jax, and it did right now. It doesn't have that final episode feel to me right now, like before it comes out, and it's coming out next week. But with this happening now, this almost felt like a final episode. You know, Jax killing his mother, with Unser dying, with Juice dying. It really all felt like a final episode. And it just kind of makes you worried of like what's going to happen in the real final episode. And I'm guessing that episode is going to be all about getting Broski, you know, killing Broski, killing Connor, the Irishman, which turns out he got greedy. And the reason I didn't really mention that is because I don't really care. You know, I really stopped caring for Connor. Actually, after season 6, I didn't really give a shit. But yeah, you know, killing Broski, killing Connor, the Mayhem vote, and it's pretty much confirmed to me that Jax for sure is going to die. I can see it now, and I don't see Jax. I don't see Jax that he's going to live in the end. If he does, I'm going to be as surprised as the next guy. But yeah, I see Jax dying in the very last episode. Which I can't, like I said, I don't know where they're going with the very final episode. Like, I thought the whole conversation with Gemma was going to be held to the episode that's coming up next week, but it happened tonight, and I'd say it really surprised me. Yeah, so yes, this is basically my thoughts on this episode. Is all in all, this episode really surprised me, and it made me both look forward to the final episode, feel sad that the final episode is coming up, but also worry about the final episode, because I don't want the final episode to be stupid or boring or anything like that. I want the final episode to be explosive, to have an impact. And that's why I thought they were going to hold the Gemma and Jax conversation for the final episode, because I just thought that would bring in more of an impact. But they had it in this episode, and I trust Kurt Sutter, what he's going to show, what he's going to do in the final episode, so I have to prepare myself. The final ride of Sons of Anarchy is coming to an end. It's coming to an end next week. So, and these are my thoughts on tonight's episode. Well, last night's episode, I watched it tonight, but these are my final thoughts. I thought this episode was good, surprising, and I'm preparing myself for this to be the final ride. So, I will see you guys in the next episode of my review of the final episode of the Sons of Anarchy. I'll see you guys next week for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's episode 12 of Sons of Anarchy, season 7. And I would love to hear you guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next. I'll see you guys next week for the final episode of my second favorite TV show of all time, Sons of Anarchy. See you next week.